I would like to interact with you, and really I appreciate. So make it more interactive. Okay, identifying the shortcomings. A great, the one of the good answer. Vulnerability assessment. Anyone else? What do you feel? What do you mean by vulnerability assessment? What do you mean by penetration testing? I have seen most of the companies nowadays. Most of the companies has actually started and initiated and taking some orders only, and directly they are interacting, and they are getting only on this word called VAPT. We are the VAPT company. Do you know what are VAPT means? Is it really is a VAPT? Are they really doing a VAPT, or what all actually they are doing in that particular scenario? Identification of weakness, finding the flaws in the design, in the infrastructure. That's right. That's great. So we are talking about different type of challenges. So we are talking about a different type of challenges, and we are talking about how we can mitigate the risk factors which are there in the system. Can we identify? Can we talk on a different type of methodologies of vulnerability assessments and so on? Wonderful thought and wonderful answers, I would say. But before I'll go and take you to the vulnerability part, generally I'll start my sessions with some silly questions. So again, with few silly questions, I would like to start. Really, do you believe that our system, our infrastructure have some vulnerability, or we are actually responsible to make our digital gadgets or infrastructure vulnerable? And further, we are looking for assessment, or we are really looking for what type of activities is being performed in my system, and so on. So identifying the vulnerabilities in the system is not only the part, that's right, one of the major part, but only the problem is, have you ever thought what is the root cause? What is the root cause of this vulnerabilities? And to just to understand the root cause, I generally says stop using, like if you are using your Google, if you're searching on Google, if you have email ID like on Google, if you are on internet, if you are on social media sites, if you are on free mail servers, if you are on chatting, if you are using like cloud servers, storage on the cloud, infrastructure, even the bugs in the operating systems, in the applications, or even you are using a browser, or whatever the applications, or the user whomsoever is interacting either via software or a hardware. Frankly speaking, that particular design is involved with some vulnerabilities. It comes with some vulnerabilities. And the day you started using any particular activity and any particular application, then actually that your device or your infrastructure becomes more compliant to such vulnerabilities. Really want to identify what are the vulnerabilities. I'll show you, and I'll talk about the different architecture and where we can able to interact and able to get some information related to the vulnerabilities and so on. So today I'm going to talk about the certain topics about the introduction of vulnerability assessment, vulnerability methodology, what are their methods to identify the vulnerabilities, some challenges, and again, as we are talking about work from home issues, just before I start my session with Karan sir. So again, we are talking about some challenges and how those challenges becomes a vulnerabilities while work from home. So today, what are the latest challenges, latest issues? Okay, with some case studies and some explanation of CVEs and other auditing device and other practicals and so on. So today I'm going to show you all these things with practicals. I think that is one of the reason like why Karan sir always try to invite me, because I try to show some theoretical and major practical part which I involved in my sessions. Now, before I'll go to the VAPT, first I want to interact with you with a topic, with a very vast topic called IT auditing. What do you mean by IT auditing? Anybody? Is it IT auditing is a vulnerability assessment? What is IT auditing? Anyone? Anybody heard about IT auditing? As you said, it is identifying the vulnerabilities and all. Anyone can answer like, what do you mean by vulnerability assessment? Or what do you mean by IT auditing? So what's the difference or any correlation? Yeah, anyone? Anyone would like to answer? What do you mean by then IT auditing? See, frankly speaking, whenever you
IT
are
auditing is kind of yeah, IT auditing is kind of it is kind of a compliance testing using ISO
compliance testing.
20001 kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it means you are talking about now compliance or standards like ISO and all that stuff. But don't you think so? It has to be connected, or then what about the vulnerability assessment? Identifying the vulnerabilities, and again you're talking about the compliance testings is auditing. So what you will test? What actually you will test for compliance testings and ISO standards or other standards? What actually you are going to do in that? In other way, don't you think so that vulnerability assessment should be the part of it? Or somebody said it's a post assessment part. Yes, Mr. Prasad, you are right. You are great. Means please answer.
In complaint testing, I don't think so. VAPT won't be happening.
Yes. So what do you mean? It means you are talking about the compliances issues. Okay, compliances could be in any different form according to the policies and according to the requirements. So you are talking about more like software testing. Shall I take it as a software testing or infrastructure testing? Means whatever the features being provided or mentioned in any particular brochure of that particular product or any infrastructure as per the framework being designed, are that compliant and are they really working accordingly? So is it like what you are talking about, the compliance testings and all that stuff? So it means
Yes,
you're just
somehow,
trying to,
yes.
yeah, so it means you are talking about the initial phrase where you are just trying to ignore the security part at that stage. First you want to test the performance, the optimization and the compliance according to the policies and the framework which has been designed and which has been initiated. Or any product like today, like you are purchasing some, let's say, firewall, the features of the firewall which are mentioned in the brochures and all, is it really compliant? Is it really working? So I think that you generally take it to the auditing part. So in other way, that is first compliance testing. But whenever you talk about the vast model of auditing, just take a look. I think first we need to go for asset management. So compliance testing is one of the way where you are just trying to correlate and to identify the working structure or culture of that particular appliances. That's right. But first, before we'll go for any audit or any VAPT, right? The first, again, another way of another dimensions of IT auditing is actually auditing has to be categorized in 3 different stages, even multiple stages. As you are saying, compliance testing is one of the preliminary part which I'm skipping at this point of time, right? So what I'm all talking about now, initial, even before going to that, the first stage is asset management. So your compliance testing must be a part of asset management. What do you mean by assets? That is the biggest mistake being done by most of the IT companies who are into the security, and they simply want to say we are into VAPT. But what they do in VAPT, they simply try to apply some attacks on your existing infrastructure, and their purpose is to identify that, see, either there is a loophole, even if there is no loophole or no problem or no vulnerability, no flaws, still can they able to create the flaws in the infrastructure, and then they present with a hike like, see, your infrastructure is hackable and we hacked your infrastructure, we did that, and we create some incident for you. So this is the way generally like the people are presenting this VAPT part. But no, that is not the right way. The legal, ethical, and as you said, compliance testing is one of the part, but that has to be a part of the asset management. First of all, at least we should aware of the assets. What are my assets? And at least we should jot down, we should quantify that these are the the present scenario, this is exactly the part of our IT infrastructure, and that is my target. This is what the type of functionality which has already been mentioned in that part. So on a very broader way, I would say it is basically the concept of asset management. So before I go for any auditing, first we have to go for asset management. Obviously, we'll check the performance and the behavior of any particular environment or any particular infrastructure which we are using. And once we are through with that, let us identify the current scenario. Now the concern is, the major concern is, can you able to judge, can you able to generate a report that what all the features or what are the policies being driven by any infrastructure or any particular gadget being used in our infrastructure, that this is what the kind of functionality being used by so and so product or any particular application. Okay, because if it is that, and then further we have to cross check with the security part, because my concern is, till the time will not give what exactly the functionality is there, what you will audit and what type of flaws you will identify. So VAPT is not a direct hit. Before going to any VAPT, first we need a complete chart. That is the preliminary exercise which has to be done by especially CIOs, CTOs, or COOs or CXOs of their company, or even CFO or CEOs, for their management level aspects or the content which they are carrying or the policies which they are carrying. Because according to the management, sometimes whenever we'll go to the corporate side, we identify that what is the management is looking for something else. They have a different kind of goals and they have a different kind of mindset which they are expecting to from an auditor and or to identify or to do a VAPT and all. Frankly speaking, most of the corporates are not clear about VAPT. So even they hire to check the performance and the even if we'll ask them, come on, give me the list of your computers. So they'll look forward, and even this is happening a lot, many times. And I'm talking about a big corporate, big company, even medium scales or large scale enterprises also. Although they have the infrastructure, the list of their entire infrastructure, but they are not aware even what type of application, tools, or software being deployed in which particular machine. They might have the list of tangible products, but what about intangible products, intangible services, which is actually there? And that's become a biggest challenge to identify, because actually the day we enter to the VAPT, in other way, we are not doing VAPT, we are doing asset management for them. And they were quite happy to get into that, because we'll give them a report, we'll give them each and everything. Like, I'll take small example, like if I'll go to one of the corporate, and let's say there are 300 computers which are there in the premises. They might have their list of the servers and the computers being used by which users or so. But if we'll ask them, come on, give me the list of the software which are running in any particular machine, they'll simply raise their hands. They generally do not have the idea what type of softwares or application being deployed in the system, except common softwares, common versions like operating system, MS Office, and so on, because they already purchased those products. So that is also in their asset. But what about the number of ports which are opened in their system? What are all the services running in the back doors, or any particular backdoor which opens randomly on a random period as per any hit or any payload which triggered, which generate a new process and occupy some memory. Immediately they open some port, transfer the data, and simply close the entire part. So it's a random dynamic model of any activity being performed in the systems. So how to identify, how to know that? That's a biggest challenge, because nobody is aware of. So again, we are not identifying any vulnerability in that. We are still working with them for asset management. And again, further we'll talk about the compliances, because compliance is again another management level part. At least first of all, we should aware of what type of softwares and the services, applications, or even the infrastructure, even total number of hardwares. Like nowadays, I visited one of the company, we audited that. According to them, there are 300 computers. But the moment we'll run some softwares to identify how many computers, you can't imagine, we identified almost 1,600 IP addresses were active at that point of time. According to them, they have only 300 computers which are tangible, and 1600 IP addresses were active at that point of time, because fewer virtual machines, fewer mobile phones, fewer some new gadgets, and they all are connected with their Wi-Fi. They are connected and they're accessing those services. Even I found, I think, that chai wala, which is just out of their boundary or wall, even they have the Wi-Fi access and the password of that internet, and that guy was also using WhatsApp and all, using corporate Wi-Fi access or Wi-Fi connection. So can you imagine? See, this is what, like, the biggest problems in our thought process. First, the major part is in auditing. In fact, the first one is asset management, because the day you start working on asset management, I'm pretty sure about it, out of that means depending upon corporate to corporate and the knowledge of their CTOs or their IT heads, I believe there are 30 to 40%, even they are not aware the common vulnerabilities, or even they will highlight those vulnerabilities immediately, because according to them, these are the applications which never been used by them and never been allowed by them to the companies, but actually it exists and very frequently being accessed in their system. Like a very small example, anybody heard about TeamViewer, AnyDesk, tech support applications and all? Is it really required? Is it really required to deploy a tech support application? And even you are using like TeamViewer and all, do you know where that server is all about? On which particular IP we are actually connected at the time once you are using? So again, you are right, Mr. Prasad and others also, like all other as mentioned, that we are talking about vulnerability assessment. No. Now my concern is actually, again, it is not a vulnerability assessment. It is a part of IT auditing. And we are again testing the compliances, the services, or the performance, or the optimization of the network services being used in the system. So my concern is, first, 80% issues came across out of 30 to 40% application which are not at all being committed, never being in compliances, or never be listed in their asset list. And these applications were actually deployed and running throughout the period whenever the systems are live or on. And you can't imagine, recently we have identified that TeamViewer runs a one IP, means their server is running on a backend where that IP belongs to Russia. Can you imagine? So we are taking the support. All right. And even that's right. So the controls are not with us. I think that is Senthil Kumar. I think they're saying, and that's right. Very true. So we don't have the control even to that, and we need to identify. So first is asset management. Please remember that is a part of asset management, because till the time we do not have the assets. Now let us say we have some asset. Let us jot down some list, some applications, some tools. Let's say we have now a figure. These are the number of computers, these are number of mobile, these are the remote gadgets, Wi-Fi devices or other gadgets which are running in our premises. So then actually we'll get an appropriate figure. Second, what all the applications are running? Generally, means in India, I have seen generally, they only purchase the operating systems. They only purchase the operating system and common application like MS Office, or any specific like SAP or that kind of common application being purchased by them, because that is the official part and it is always required, and their businesses are entirely depending on that. Some accounting application like Tally, Busy or something like that. That's it. But what about other application like VLC player, like browsers, Chrome, Firefox and all? Are you really aware? Means what all the assets? So we want the list of those assets before we proceed to any vulnerability assessment. So that is a major gap and the major issues between assets and vulnerabilities assessment and all. So the day we find out and we jot down the complete list of softwares and hardware and the services like API services or other services running on a backend, then further, the second stage is vulnerability assessment. So today we are again going to talk about some specific version issues or like PDF reader. That's right. PDF Reader, Adobe Reader, even WinRAR, WinZip. We all are using these kind of application frequently without purchasing them. And why it is free of cost, and or even we are not aware whether it is open source, is it free or proprietary product, or even it's a counterfeit product. So might be you copied, or some any tech support person came and deployed because they carry some that specific product, and that is much more required for you for any modification or something like that. Even PDF, you are talking about reader. Few of the machine I have seen PDF writer, or you can make some manipulations in PDF files. For that, some PDF professional versions are there, and people never purchase those. And I don't know from where, or either from torrent sites or from dark web, they actually identify and download and start accessing, which is really, really dangerous, which actually open the doors for vulnerability assessment, for bugs, for vulnerabilities, or to get compromise any network infrastructure and so on. Even hardly matters you are using VPNs or not. For your security sake, I'm not saying for anonymity. I'm talking about for security sake, because all the corporate officially they use VPNs, right? As we are working from home, all are work from home, and they are started working on this particular ground. So the major challenge for work from home people are like how to create the compliances, the security issues, or internal server to be get protected by internal user. However, those internal users or official trusted users are accessing those services from their home or from the third-party machines or even third-party networks. So what are the compliances, what are the security challenges, issues being raised? So we are going to work generally on their services level. That is what vulnerability assessment all about. Okay, and even like today we all are mostly I've seen the client sides desktop editions are mostly on Windows, or even I prefer nowadays like people are more on Mac or Linux. But hardly matters. Have you ever tested? Have you ever tried to identify the real-time vulnerabilities? Quickly, I'll show you. Just take a look. Quickly, I'll show you. Say if I'll go to one of the website, I think you can see my screen. So I'm just sharing things on my screen. On Google, I just pass on one keyword CVE. That is common vulnerability exposures. So remember, just try and access this website where I'll just click to the search. You can find, you can identify there are 1,45,084 total CVEs are there in NVD. What is NVD? That is national. This is the National Vulnerability Database, NVD, being maintained by US Department and it is in United States, right? So this is one of the website where the people who identified the common vulnerabilities, they'll give them one unique ID number and flash it for the public use and for the information to all others. So I prefer to even access this kind of site, and then you realize what all we are doing. Let's say I'll click to the search and just want to show you, say I'll pass up one keyword like Windows 10 or even Android 10 operating system or something like that. I believe nowadays Microsoft, always says you go with the latest version with all latest patches and all. So we are talking about Windows 10 operating system, let's say. So if I'll click and try to find out, can you imagine there are 1,114 common CVEs, common vulnerabilities which has already been exposed, say just on the product called Windows 10. So you have any product like you have VLC player, you have Chrome version 87 or Firefox some version or Chrome version or any particular version of any particular software, which is actually deployed in your computers using either for free or for might be even a paid one. But how you will identify what exactly is going on and what type of content is there all about. So if you practically see, you will understand, see the latest vulnerabilities and all latest issues. Even you can see the identification of the vulnerability. I think now you will be able to understand what all we are talking about. I'll open this vulnerability, say this is a recent and the latest vulnerability which was actually exposed. And what it says that, say one CVE number that is 8763, identified in 2020. And what it says that improper permissions in the installer of Intel RealSense D400 series UWP driver. So anywhere in any particular hardware or any computer where you have this Intel RealSense D400 series UWP hardware, and obviously to operate that hardware, you already have a UWP driver. So you are generally going to deploy some drivers. And in case if you deploy those drivers on Windows 10, it basically carries a vulnerability, because now what happened? Is it a vulnerability for Windows 10? Or do you believe that it is a vulnerability in the hardware or even the driver of that hardware which is running on Windows 10? So please remember, operating system, this is not the only duty of operating system. Here we are talking about the word called compliances. Okay, I think now you got an idea what you mean and what actually we were talking about the compliance. So this is a very good example of compliances. Means one computer, one hardware which is running with one operating system. So might be the vulnerabilities in the operating system, even relevant to that operating system, because you deployed some drivers as you have a motherboard or a specific hardware deployed in that specific in your system, and you are using Windows 10. So the combination of that hardware and that operating system, and as you are using that particular driver, create a problem for you where you have improper permissions to access and may allow to unauthenticated user to potentially enable escalation of privilege via local access. So any person who try to access your computer, and the moment they'll access your computer, they try to accelerate by using such a driver, as they just want, like today, if I'll come to you and ask you, hey, you have a very good looking laptop or computer, can I see the hardware details and the technical specification for that? So I'm asking you for some social engineering part, and I'm looking for some information. Obviously, you will give me some technical specification with all the details, or might be available if I'll write down your model number of your laptop or your computer online. So might be I'll going to get the entire details of that. And in case if I found that you also use the similar or any particular hardware driver, and again you have Windows 10, I think you are vulnerable. Only what I need to do now, I need to identify the payloads. I need to identify, can I exploit? Can I penetrate? Now this is third stage. Third stage is what? Pen testing. So this is first is, so what I say in IT auditing, first is your asset management, which carries lots of things. Okay. So the first and initial and preface of any vulnerability assessment is asset management. Go for asset management in a proper way, in a proper order, and identify each and everything which must be relevant to that specific operating system, their drivers, the list of drivers, list of softwares, versions, even on which date time it was deployed. So we want some library files. We want even the list of the ports. We want the registry of that operating system, process list, memory management, or even a hard disk where you have the files. And we want the artifacts of those files. That artifacts like could be your access date, creation date, modified date and time, and so certain metadata or some metadata information which is actually more appropriate and required to basically to make it an evidence and make it admissible to the court for any particular case or for any particular incident and so on. So people I have seen, everybody is getting into VAPT. Mostly they are hackers. They don't know the meaning of actually VAPT, and it was circulated in a very different way, in different manner. The actual auditing and the VAPT part is first is asset management, where people are doing very leniently, or they ignore the list because they only try to identify the massive devices and only do that part and over. So it is not an appropriate way of any auditing and all. Third, they might get into the VAPT of some devices, try to identify. So what they are doing for identifying the vulnerability, is it a manual testing? Is it really random testing? Or by using any third-party software, they simply came across in your network and simply run some software on your existing infrastructure, and simply they are able to generate the report. So yes, it is good, but I feel it is a very much third-party compliance testing report. That is what I used to call it, though it is for most of the people it is a bread and butter, because that act as a VAPT report. So how to do a vulnerability testing, vulnerability assessment, and once you able to identify the vulnerability which exists in your system, you'll get the list. Then further, those vulnerability need to be identified based on their severity level. So severity level, like, do you have a critical severity, you have high level severity, medium level, low level, informative, or what? According to the level of severities, we need to identify what exactly is this all about. So this is a risk level. I believe this is a, you can say, middle level severity. If I want to consider, I don't know how they mention it somewhere. In case if they have any list of severities, no, they are not mentioning directly. However, they have some URL and might be the data is there in this URL and so on. So basically that has been assigned to the Intel Corporation, that this is one of your device and the driver of that device is basically vulnerable. Please mitigate, come with a new update or latest patch, so that at least the thing should not be in panic into that. This was created on 6th February 2020. So this entry was created on 6th Feb 2020. And further, you'll get the information about any particular topic or any particular attack. And then we have 1114 CVEs only in Windows 10. Okay, or relevancy to the Windows 10 or that particular keyword, whatever I mentioned. So hardly matters you are using browser, you are using Firefox, you are using any particular hardware or some drivers of specific hardwares. So it's not only the compliance issue, it is actually a security issue which generally ignored in the IT auditing, but it has to be part of it, where the latest ISO standards 27,000 series, right, they also mention and they also came across. I hope if you remember, ISO 27037 is one of the series which clearly says about cyber forensics and the way to process any digital evidences, right? So what is the process of cyber forensics? That is in 27037 is the updated version or of this ISO standards as well. So even they are also coming into security. Then why we are not considering security as a part of IT auditing, right? So that has to be derived in these three different stages. Now let's say, let us assume that that we got some vulnerabilities, and now we jotted down in some of the categories of the severities, and according to the severities, obviously the priority goes to the critical vulnerability or high level vulnerabilities and so on. Now how to mitigate it? So obviously then our IT guys need to work upon, try to mitigate, find the latest updates, patch management, versioning. I think these are some solutions related to the vulnerability assessment part in the list of do's and don'ts. Try to find out, or even in case if Intel or like Windows is not supporting you, even people prefer to change the hardware. Let's say we'll not use that hardware, we disable that hardware and we'll get another hardware or any external hardware which might be get connected, and then you further make security part out of that. So that is also one of the way which has been identified to just to mitigate the vulnerabilities. And even you run any third-party tool for vulnerability assessment. So whether you really get the list of vulnerabilities or identified vulnerabilities in the list or not, using third-party tools or manual testing or dynamic testing, I would say. Okay, so that is one of the part. However, next stage, that is penetration testing. Now I think now you get an idea. First, you have to do a lot of work in asset management. Further, after asset management, then we have to go for a vulnerability assessment. Again, we'll get some big list of the vulnerabilities. To mitigate those vulnerabilities, again, the developer or IT infrastructure or IT heads, They will take time to upgrade their scenarios and make again compliance back to our existing infrastructure and the user, so that they'll not be panic, and at least our functionality of the company's functionality or should not be compromised due to any changes or any security updates or something like that. So that compliances, that compatibility, that dry run testing, again, it's a really tedious job. And once the thing's done, everything is okay, your third party software says now you do not have any vulnerability and so on. Actually, then the third stage is important, that is called penetration testing. So let us invite a hacker, let us invite a penetration tester. Now we'll give them some scenarios. Let's say they'll be like, I have a Wi-Fi, they'll be an external user, we do not give any privilege to them. First, we want to identify the pen testing process from being an external user, being a second as a guest user. Like today I visit to your organization, at least I can reach to the reception, right? I can able to interact to your PRO, or right, and further whatever as per my query, then they try to handle or answer me and they respond me on that basis. So today, if I really want to penetrate your networks, your infrastructure, so first I have to work as an external user. Second, I have to work as some guest user. Third, I have to work as a regular user with some restrictions. And fourth, if I'm a admin, even IT admin, or even a management level person, where I want more services, unrestricted services, which might be applied or imposed to our existing employees, right? So even we want some special kind of permissions or privileges, and then we have to again find, being a penetration tester, that anyone can misuse those privileges, because it is secured one, 100% it is earlier secured one. Now the concern is we have to penetrate, we have to create a vulnerability by doing some activity, triggering some action, some event, some module, or let's say I'll forward you some message or some link on your email or on your WhatsApp or on your computer, or broadcasted messages, SMB services, file sharing, could be any way or any mean. The day if you access, might be your security get compromised, and I'm able to successfully explore the backdoor of your existing infrastructure. And the day I get a backdoor, again, do you have any kind of intrusion detection or prevention system which might able to detect that this is the new activity identified in your system and which is missing, and the people are not secure at all? So think about the security. It is a really a big challenge and a great things in depth. Then only the person can act as a penetration tester, who try to create and penetrate and create a loophole, a backdoor, okay, untraced backdoor, so that anytime they can enter externally without to get noticed in their regular infrastructure process, and they might access your internal services, hack, or do certain activity or make certain attempts. And that's what I said, we at that point of time we require hackers. That is a concept of penetration testing. And I believe you need years actually to really work upon and identify the things, and then mitigation and all. It's not easy job, but yes, it's an ongoing job. It's a frequent process. It has to be in your schedule between, like say, depending upon your work cycle or the work profile or the data load or data traffic or application usage or multiple users or the behavior, how the users are interacting to your infrastructure. Based on these kind of parameters, I think we have to decide what would be the tenure of auditing. So I'm taking word auditing. It means again revamping of all three things. Could be weekly, fortnightly, monthly, or quarterly, or half yearly, or even annually. So that depends upon the activity being performed or the infrastructure or the services being used by any organization. I hope now you got more idea what is actually auditing and what is vulnerability assessment, asset management, or even this penetration testing. Any doubt at this point of time to anyone? Do we have any open source tools for the vulnerability? Yes, I'm going to show you practically right now. Don't worry, I'm just going to show you the practical testing for VAPT. I have a tool. I'll show you live. Okay.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yeah,
What is
please.
Yeah, these open source tools are any premium tools. How much we're able to believe in that their auto-generated reports?
Okay.
What possibility of the false positive results may be there? How we can overcome these kind of things?
Okay, good question. Very,
So
very good
do
question.
the vulnerability assessment.
That's right. That's right, Prasad ji. So the concern is, this is a domain where it is not anything which is in the form of limited process. Please try and understand. Today you purchase a new product, right? You went to the market and you purchase a new mobile phone. Which operating system in the mobile phone? Let's say you have iPhone, some version, or like say Android 10. So is there any vulnerability in the Android 10? How you will get to know? For that, what you will do? Actually, your voice cracked. Can you repeat again? Please, Mr. Prasad.
Yes.
Could you please?
So exactly what you said, the same cycle. If I was in the PT person, I can go with the CVE, any particular vulnerability there in the version.
Who develops CVEs?
That way I can do it.
Who develops CVEs? Again, community. It is a community versions. Please try and understand. The people, it's not one organization who maintains CVEs. They are not being reported or something. How antivirus companies get to know that there is a new virus and they define that virus? Because there is a signature behavior, anomaly code detection, or signature code detection techniques. So think in the open-ended side, we all are trusting on all the type of vulnerability which has already been exposed, and at least whatever being exposed publicly, we get to know that information, and we try to identify the compliances or the security patches for that particular level of vulnerability, and we'll fight for to identify the patch or upgraded versions or any tool or anything, or even a firewall policy. Let's say we'll create a new firewall policy because might be one of the driver opens a backdoor on any particular port and able to connect and so on. So what do? We're not going to replace the hardware, because if you purchase some other hardware, again they might be doing the similar kind of job. So we can't do the replacement of the hardware. It is not suggested at all. However, we then, according to the exposed vulnerability, we try to mitigate as per our experience or as per the information which has already been circulated on the open source model, open source platform. Now, please remember, as you said, third party open source vulnerability and the trust factor, I truly agree there might be a false positives. I truly agree with you. I'm not denying at all. But let us take it as a percentage basis. Say, if there are 10 good vulnerabilities identified, might be, I'll not say I'm 100% trusting on it. Let us also do compliance check. Let us do it again. Let us try to identify any payload related to the vulnerability because it has been exposed. Now, do you know how vulnerability third-party tools are working? They basically connect, they actually attack your existing infrastructure, and the moment they'll get some information, whatever the return. So it is a method, it's a web service kind of, or a kind of an internal application or object based driven method, which execute a one vulnerability payload which has already been identified in CVEs, in NVD. It is there in the database. So the IT guys, they download those databases, they synchronize those databases. So all vulnerability assessment third party application, what they are doing, they also give you the this NVD database. They also gives you the updated versions. so that at least whatever the common applications are there, we'll able to mitigate. Second, whatever the vulnerability being exposed, it means they try to hit, and it is automated, as I think that you are quite now aware of. Like, say, machine learning is not at all 100% solution. There are lots of false positives in machine learning, in artificial intelligence, even in robotics and so on. I think the very good example, if you might have seen the movie called Robot, that that Rajnikant movie, Robots. So he created a robot similar like human, but actually it was criticized in such a way. And it is a job of other researchers and the examiners to must criticize, because it might harm to a human in case if it was misleaded information uploaded or some virus attacks are there on that infrastructure. Then that same human, that same robot, which is actually today helping to a human being, might be start harming to a human being and kill the person. So that is a real fact which has shown in this movie called Robot. But still people are wondering and willing to get into ML, AI and all that stuff. Similarly, these vulnerability assessment softwares, I think that's what I initially said, we should do manually rather than going to third party. Third party is only for third party reference. You please consider it. Do not get dependent, 100% dependent on third party softwares. However, most of the IT companies who are into the vulnerability assessment or auditing, they are still using these third party softwares. And the guys who are working on that, they are even non-tech, even they never completed their school level education. They people learn some networking from somewhere, and they start acting as a auditor of a big organization. What is their job? They just go connect the internet on that computer, find the IP address of the target server or the network or IP series of the network, and place it in the software which has been given by them from their company. And simply they run these third-party tools and simply they enjoy their meal and all. That's it. And whatever the report being generated, which is automated report, updated to the server side, and the job is over, auditing is over. This is what the procedure, the practical way which I have seen, which is really, I would say, dangerous. That, and again, it is a completely generating. The percentage of false positives are more in that. However, open source tools and communities are always preferable, because it is always open for criticism, and you will get more purified content as compared to any proprietary product. Because proprietary product is proprietary, even you cannot identify their behavior, their working strategies. It is against law. Today, if you are using Windows 10, you cannot do any modification in Windows 10. However, if you have you have Linux, you can create your own Linux. That is what I also did, and I file a patent on the base of operating system deployed in one of the hardware, and I generated a flavored versions of the Linux, and I filed patent in 2011. Can you imagine? So the concern is basically open source tools are always, I would say, better purified. However, we cannot denying the fact that it might also generate a false positive. But what about proprietary product? That also might generate false positives, because finally the backend database is NVD database, CVEs. And if they all are following CVEs, I think we need to check about which product is going to get updates, latest updates, and synchronize where the communities are working and ready to work on. So what are the volume of the community? Means, is it quantified? Again, so if the people and the community like Linux nowadays, as you have seen, who governs on Linux? You can copy, you can share, you can modify, you can make multiple copies, you can deploy, you can make changes in the operating system officially, legally, because under GPL. And in case if you have any problem or you create anything for the society, now it is your ethics. You want to make it open source or you make it a proprietary product, right? So it is purely up to you then. So I prefer always go with the open source tools. However, obviously we have to, whatever the reports or whatever the results being generated, at least we should again go for cross check, right? Might be you will get a false positive. That's okay. You got my point?
Yes, sir. Taken.
Got it. So I always appreciate, even comparative to any proprietary product. Again, I'll still recommend go with open source product, because the security has actually been implemented by the community. It's not by one developer, one team, one or you know, a number of series of the people who are working over there, and they are frees and they are working on their knowledge level. Open source is open knowledge, and open knowledge means open for criticism, open for development, open for updates, open for everything. We need to cross check which product, and all open source are not good, but which product is actually suitable for your customized security model, or your infrastructure, or what is your target, and which product is actually helpful for your target side. So that is and the best part in open source, it is customizable. So in case if you feel that you are getting some based on some parameter, you are getting some information, but it is a partial information, it is not a complete information. However, if you are having a good skills, I think you can add on your skills into that, your experience into that, and you can add more couple of parameters into that, and which makes I think out of the blue moon, and you can make a good products. This is the way how open source community is coming up. So obviously it is more positive along with negative. I think that is same for the proprietary product as well. Only the part in proprietary you can sue them. In case of open source, where you'll go and to whom you will sue it. So that is the only concern, but I think you can raise an objections, or you can criticize that product or service accordingly. So another part, but yes, most important is how you will go for a vulnerability assessment and testings and all that stuff. I think most of the thing is clear to you now. Quickly, I think I'll take you to the practical session, and then I think whatever is left I'll cover in the presentations and so on. Quickly, even I have some, okay, I'll show you what is assessment. I think we talked a lot of things on this. Establishing security baselines, performance of vulnerability assessment, approval. I quickly take you to the methodology. So the common methodology is like, if we really talk about the vulnerability assessment methodology, then many questions which comes across, and that is the way how you start, you initiate, I think, vulnerability testing. So do we need a help from the outside? How does it affect to our other systems? Can we take any temporary measures? What is the worst case scenario? How long will it take to fix it? Does this endanger customers' data? How dangerous is this issue all about? Is this system is mission critical? What do we need to fix it? Right? Do we risk losing certifications or any compliances or any standards? Right? Or even, are we really compliant to our legal system? As I hope you heard about GDPR, or in India, very soon you will see that becomes an act, but right now it has been approved as a bill, Personal Data Protection Bill, PDPB, that is Personal Data Protection Bill. In 2019, December 2019, it was introduced and approved by Lok Sabha, and now it is with cabinet for the approval purpose. Right. So the concern is, very soon you will see these kind of things, and in case if your infrastructure or your applications are working and might be not compliant with the legal system like GDPR and all, that's what, like, you think about Google, I think $800 million penalty being imposed by European Union under GDPR, and it's not one time, I think thrice or 3 times or 4 times, even to Facebook or other Twitter and so on, because the individual data or the citizen of the information of the citizen of European Union get compromised by third-party application and circulated to beyond their countries and beyond their territorial boundaries. So in that case, actually the problem comes across, and your vulnerability assessment should be compliant to that model. So these are the different types of methodology where we have to think about, we have to work a lot. I think that's what all point. I'll quickly cover the theory part, and then I'll take you to the practical part. Obviously, if you are talking about the challenges while working from home, I think that is what, like, the generally real scenarios for all of us. right? Am I right? This is, I think, a very common scenario for all of us. These are the common facts while work from home that was again identified, like distraction, which is the most major issue. Again, infrastructure technical issues or internet issues, like today, as I'm able to give you that, delivering you the session, but might be if my internet stops working, then immediately will stuck and unable to communicate and so on. So appropriate space for work from home, that is also required. Staying motivated and driven, because that's more important part, as everybody was under COVID-19 and all were under pandemic. So mostly the people are disheartened and you know, more in the rest mode, I would say. So we have to convert ourselves. Self motivation is more required, and then further we'll think about some innovation practicals or new examples and all. Overworking, because now there is no time limit, there is no streamlining. So either you are working day, night, or even 24/7, or any good time, whether you are in the rest mode or working mode, even you are not aware of. Loneliness, bad health habit cripping it, or limited employer support. As employer is not supporting, say, I can't do this, simply raise the hand, and now all the things has to be taken care by you. So inadequate work model or keeping information private, these are the very, very common challenges. And again, the vulnerability comes from these stages while work from home and so on. Okay, many case studies, many common incidents. I think I hope you're able to see my screen. All of you, hope you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so these are the common cases which are actually highlighted immediately just after the this March 22nd, like the COVID you know started, and everybody was quarantined and there was a lockdown process initiated. So the common cases which came across, that is impersonation, phishing, ransomware, online abuse, transmission of obscene content, financial fraud, defamation, cyber stalking, bullying, identity theft, etc. So these are very, very common cases which come across. I think I have shown you the CVE part. Top 10 vulnerability assessment scanning tools. So please go ahead and you can see the list of the scanning tools generally used for networks or web or your Wi-Fi, you know, vulnerability assessments and so on. Komodo is very good. I'll show you the practical of this OpenVAS tool. Very, very good tool. I personally use for auditing for third-party reference only, right? Nexus is one of that, but it's a paid tool. I think this is the list of open source tool, right? Okay, Nexus is there. Nessus is there. Nessus professional version is there. Retina is there, and Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer is there. So these are the list of the top 10 vulnerability assessment scanning tools. For different purpose, for different type of scanning tools are there, like for databases, we have different scanning tools. For infrastructure, we have different scanning tools. For website applications, coding, we have different assessment tools. Okay, so accordingly, we need to decide which tool is convenient and better for which particular task. This is what, let's say, we'll go for a practical. I'll show you this practical quickly. Okay, so this is what I open one virtual machine for you. Already I opened that part. I deployed OpenVAS tool. What is OpenVAS? So this is just a Linux. Under Linux, I prepared. Now, to deploy OpenVAS, you need a separate, it actually creates a server in your machine. And it actually deploys almost 2.5 GB data, because the purpose is to upload the NVT. So all the you know, national level, whatever the threats, I'm talking about NVTs. Okay, so they need to download the common NVTs and able to make it compliance and make your server more productive, more innovative to identify the common vulnerabilities under their specific categories and so on. So just to start, actually 3 services are required: OpenVAS Manager, OpenVAS SD, and third is open SMS services. So 3 services, system services, so are required. And once it's done, you can explore the same server by using your local host. It internally, I'm using OpenVAS 9 version, right? Version 9, OpenVAS 9. If you go to the Google, I think you will see, and you can able to see like install OpenVAS 9. So if you'll go and you can see and you can identify like where you can go and install these versions. So even you can take like for Ubuntu, for Kali and all other things, and you will get some couple of steps which you can follow and able to download I think the data for you. So it's ready to download and all that stuff. Okay. The meanwhile, once it's downloaded, what all we need to do, we just need to log in. Okay, so all what we need to do, we have to log in. The default username is admin and admin. This is the GUI interface, web-based interface. If you connect to the local host port number 4000. So internally, I prepared one VM virtual machine only for auditing purpose. Okay, and okay, what is this all about? I think services need to be restart. Okay. Okay. OpenVAS. Let me restart OpenVAS hyphen manager. Okay, and sudo. I think you can see the list of services by using init.d/openvas. So these are the 3 services: GSA, manager, and scanner. Okay, and all what we need to do: systemctl restart OpenVAS hyphen scanner. So these are the 3 services. After deployment, you need to restart. And once things done, further systemctl restart another, that is OpenVAS hyphen GSA. So these are the 3 services which you have to restart, and further you try to connect to your server. Let's say I'll refresh the server and resend the request of my system, and finally I'm into the I'm inside the system. Okay, by default username is admin, and you can make multiple user as per your wish. All what we need to do, this is a GUI, and you can see the list of the database. So NVTs are there, which are basically severity based classes, and right now, like in my system, it is compliant with the 58,489 vulnerabilities, and the collection of vulnerabilities are based on high, medium, low, and log based severities. Okay, so this is what all about my system, and again, say this is what all about the system and all. Let's say I have to go for a vulnerability testing. So to do a vulnerability testing, it is not a difficult task. However, please remember, this OpenVAS product is only and only for the operating system or any infrastructure test. It is not at all for website testing. For website vulnerability testing, we use OWASP project, that is Open Web Application Security Projects, and the tools which are compliant to that, that is Burpsuite, Zaproxy, etc. So there are many other different tools for different tasks. So I'm right now talking about, like, is in case if I have Windows machine or if I have any Linux machine and I want to identify the loophole of specific kernel or a specific software or something like that. So all what we need to do, say I have to scan, I'll go to the task. Okay, say already I started some or initiated some task. It might take time actually. So on this task, you will find a concept called Task Wizard. Simply you go and explore this second option called Task Wizard. And there you need to type the IP address or a host name or even a domain name. But please remember, do not make any attack on any website where you do not have the permission, even though it is your own website. But that website has been hosted on any third-party server. Might be it is a shared server or any other place. So even you are not the owner of that IP address. Okay. However, you purchase some specific space and you deployed your website on that space, on the hosting space, and you're using it. It doesn't mean that you got the authentication or you have the authority to scan their entire system. Okay, so please be aware of, it's better you try it on the LAN or on your PCs. And in case if everything is fine and you have a proper permission to access, then simply go ahead, and why not to any domain name or any IP. So please remember, you must see the compliances issue with the legal part as well. Okay, and again, the proprietary or the ownership issues are the most important issues. On that basis only, you'll go for the vulnerability test. Remember, these vulnerability tests would also actually apply the attacks. However, they'll not really attack, but what they need to do, they run some backend methods on the basis of the services or the products or the services which has been exposed, which has been identified in the asset management part, or like the port numbers or the services which are in running mode. They apply the attack on those servers or those ports or those services, those processes. Okay, and on that basis we applied the attack by passing some arguments, some parameters, and whatever the result being generated, they try to identify those results, compare it with their database which has already been updated in the system, and according to that database they'll able to generate the again, it's kind of, you can take it like signature based model, right? But signature of not only the virus, but we are talking about the database, the common CVEs which has already been exposed. So on that basis, even we can write a IP address, computer name, local host, or why not like 127.0.0.1 or whatever you like. Let's say I'll write a local host or my computer name, or if you have FQDN installed, and simply just you need to click and start scanning. That's it. So this is third party part. Is it really technical? I don't think so. But what exactly is going to do? So this is a new service which I have just initiated with the local host part, and request has been initiated, and you will have a process to stop the task, find the task. Even you can edit the task in case if you want. You can clone those tasks, and finally whatever the generated results are there, we can export this task. And in case if we'll get some reports, simply you download that reports and identify what the common vulnerabilities exist in your system and all. So very easy to operate, I would say, very productive, but yes, with the limitations. Obviously nothing is foolproof. However, it is with limitation. I think you can see as it was initiated and now it is 1%, 2%, and so on. So just you need to apply and go for your beverage, like cup of coffee, tea, or take some time, because it will take, depending upon the server or infrastructure or the services which are running on the back end. Accordingly, the number of attacks which they have to apply. Finally, they have to generate the collection of the the return values of all the executed functionalities, and on that basis it generate the severity based reports, which is really a good product. Open source, again, it is also legally admissible to the court. Only the ways that whatever the result has been generated, you copy that result, identify that copy of the result, and generate a summary report based on that result, which has came across to you in front of you, and accordingly you can give your opinion as an expert and generate a proper results on that basis. Is that clear? Any doubt at this point of time? Any query? Quickly, any query? I think that because now it takes time. So meanwhile, we can take our queries, and otherwise I'll show you some other examples. Yes, please. Any doubt? Any query? Okay, quickly, let us do one small manual audit part, assessment part. I will not say audit, or I will not say vulnerability assessment, but let's say, let us try to identify the behavior footprints. Let's say we'll try to identify the footprints, or could be the part of asset management. And for the proofreading part, shall we do this? Like today, as we all are connected with the Zoomers, okay, I need to identify how this Zoomers is working, where I'm actually connected to, and connected to whom. Quickly, I'll take you to, this is what I'm working. This is my Sedulity operating system. Like I'm always working on my own OS. It's a Linux based OS, so I think you'll be more comfortable and you can able to find out how it works. Quickly, as I'll show you, if config, practically I'll show you some results. I connected to the LAN, and my presently the IP address is 192.168.1.4. Okay. Quickly, I'll pass one more command, that is netstat. It is a Brahmastra, I'm telling you. I'm using some parameter like AN arguments, and based on that, I just want whatever the output is there, it should be in the terms of IP addresses. So this is the way how I identified, and mostly my system. So 192.168.1.4, you can see the type of protocol. So it's all TCP connections, receive packets, send packets. I hope you can see this, right? Local address. Hope you all are able to monitor my screen. Okay. Yes. So great. Okay. So local address along with the port number. So as I have shown you that my system IP is 192.168.1.4, and it internally opens some backdoors. Right now, see how many port numbers which are open and on my system, and the connection, the status of the connection is it is established. However, I connected to some 443 port number of any server. 443 matlab, it means it is HTTPS. So as we are also connected with HTTPS, I think you can see this. This is also HTTPS, you can see this. So I open only 2 websites, and on that basis, but I have a backdoor connection. See the list of the connections where right now I have. Okay, quickly let me try to identify where this IP belongs to and to whom we are connected all about. So you can see the series of 172 IP or 3 series. I think again you'll identify the two major IP addresses in this entire list, and you'll able to generate able to identify a different IP. So host IP, if you take it like under class C, you'll identify the or class B. So class B means you can see it is a class B IP. First 2 octet 172.217, 172.217, all are same. Rest last 2 octet value is different. So hardly matters. I'll just simply copy this IP. I'll quit at this point of time, and let's say I want to identify this IP belongs to whom. So I'll simply go to sudo. Sudo is, I think you are aware of, I'm running this command with admin privilege. For that, I need sudo. So I'll use a whois service, and I'll pass the IP address which I copied, and want to identify this IP belongs to which country, which organization, and so on. So finally, you will see this IP belongs to Google. Okay. And you will find relevant Google, US IP, and so on and so on. Okay, reason because first of all I connected to Chrome. So see the interpretation of Google which is there in this particular part while I'm accessing my services, or you are on Zoomers, I'm also on Zoomers, but because I'm using Chrome browser, just because of Chrome browser on a backend, say we started working for Zoom, but because we are connected to Chrome, so actually we are connected more with Google in other way, right? So first Google is there and they have a proper established connection. So this IP series belongs to Google. Okay, then let us take another IP series and let us try to identify what is this all about going on. So we'll take this part as well, and quickly I'll take it to sudo, and again I'll go for whois of this particular IP address. So now you will find this IP belongs to Amazon EC2 server. So it means on a backend, this is again cloud server, and the best part is Amazon is using their IP address which belongs to India. That's why I hope you heard about Amazon recently, last year just they started their entire data center in the Maharashtra, Mumbai, near Navi Mumbai side, L&T Business Park, gate number 5, Tower A, ground floor, Saki Vihar, Powai. So it is actually in Powai, and Amazon started their data center for India, in India, for Indian traffic. And this Zoomus, it means Zoomus is just a front end, a domain name. And this particular domain name to whom we are connected, all about our entire data, our entire storage has already been outsourced by Zoomus to Amazon servers. And my data is in India. So Zoomus is now pretty secure as compared to other conference providing application, web application. So I want to identify the behavior analysis of Zoomus, say whether I'll trust on Zoomus or not. So what all I did, I just tried to connect, trying to access, and meanwhile I'll go back and able to see, okay, this is what all about Zoomus. And Amazon is initiated with, say, Class A IP series. The complete IP series is with Amazon. So anytime, wherever you find the IP address starting from 3, take it, it's Amazon IP. And these front ends, like Zoomus is the front end, took a server, a backend server, a data center, or entire servers were actually redirected to Amazon servers. And now Amazon is giving their support and all that stuff, and they're earning the money on that basis and paying back to Amazon and so on. For India only. In India, so now whatever the conference is going on, whatever the recording is going on, that internally stores on a backend. Front end is my Zoomus for sure, but backend of Zoomus is Amazon AWS services. It's Amazon services, right? So even you have a cloud servers and you are running a one cloud, your web application on the cloud, depending upon the users and depending upon the traffic, you know, cloud features or virtualization features, so that your infrastructure as a service, they are using IaaS model. So as an infrastructure as a service, as per the user, and without any trouble, a user will get, or this web application automatically get that level of infrastructure, and simply they can able to handle multiple requests. Are you getting my point? So this is also one of the way of testing. Okay, this is not at all vulnerability testing. Please try and understand. This is again asset management. However, people used to call it as vulnerability assessment. No, not at all. This is not vulnerability assessment. We have to go through with this. Now, in case if we really want to go for a vulnerability assessment, then what all I need to do, I need to take either a domain name and cross-check the web application services by using OWASP services like Zap Proxy or Burpsuite. And in case if I want to identify the infrastructure details, like as I got an IP address, okay, so I identified the IP address which is connected with my system. I can take that IP, I can go to this OpenVAS, like see, you can see now 26% being done. I can go there, I can add a task, apply an IP address, and simply apply the attacks, whatever is available on that system. That's it. Once you will get the reply, I think you will able to see the vulnerability attacks or the level of severities which might exist on that particular IP or that particular server. And I try to do a vulnerability assessment from the network perspective, from an external user without any authentication and so on. However, we have a process of you can add user groups, you can configure or you can generate a target list, or you have a policies where you can set your own policies. See, all the NVC CVs are there. Okay. Identify your assets, scan it, and finally generate the report. This is the purpose. I hope now the concept is more clear to you, how generally we do the practicals and we'll get that things. So I prefer to do almost all the things manually, and I do my own testing part, a part of these third-party testings. And then finally, I have to create a compliance. I have to identify whether I skipped something, or might be these third-party machines or these third-party application, might they skip something, or then I'll try to correlate. Then I need to cross-check, and on that basis, finally we'll generate a VAPT reports. Is that clear? Any doubt? Any queries?
Yes, sir. I have one query.
Please.
Yeah, this is perfect, sir. I have a external one regarding scanning. So while do the port scanning, if it is the port is open or closed, how this port scanning is taken by the intruder or pen tester while do the some escalation of the some like privilege escalation part of.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good question. Ports are, total ports 65,536 ports.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. A total for any digital device where you have a networking, each network interface by default have 65,536 ports. However, there are few default ports for the default services, and that is what like the open ports. Apart of that, there are some random ports, as you have seen the list which I have shown you practically. So from my machine, it's all the random ports, but from the server side, it is a predefined ports like 443 is for HTTPS. Okay, like 21 is for FTP. So basically, what do you mean by ports? It means some backend services are running on those ports. What are their services? Like FTP 21, SSH 22, Telnet 23. I'm talking about servers. Okay, SMTP server port 25. Okay, then 53 DNS server, 80 HTTP web server. Okay, 110 POP3 server, 143 IMAP server. So basically, what happened? All the common ports are not the ports. Basically, it's an open door where that door is dedicated to some certain backend services, some applications. Now, the moment I get to know, I do go for a port scanning. The moment as a hacker or as a penetration tester or a vulnerability assessment model, under that model, if I'll go for a port scanning, I identified the open ports. It means there are some backdoor services which are running in your server, in your machines. And in case if those ports are open, which version are there? So I need to identify the footprints. So I'll get to know the version of that product, that service. Let's say you are running mail server. So what is the version of the mail server? Which MTA you are using? Any name, any server, like MySQL server port number 3306. If port number 3306 is there, it means you are running a MySQL server. If I'll try to connect FTP server, so if I simply write FTP, you will get the name of that FTP. Okay, so you will get, it means first I need to identify. So in other way, privilege acceleration is the lateral part. Before privilege acceleration, you have to go through with the footprinting, scanning, and enumeration part. And once you will do this kind of things, you are into that. And the moment you will able to enumerate, you will able to identify. Now further, hackers, what they do, they need to identify the payloads, the auxiliaries, or some exploits which are compliant to that particular version. So basically now they are trying to exploit an attack on a particular port because that port is running with a specific application of a specific version with the common exposed vulnerability lies in that system. And on that basis, in case if you have a payload or some function or third-party attack or manual attack, then simply you are through. You try to accelerate the privilege. You get into the system and you will get the privilege. And the moment you will get the privilege, then whatever the exploits are possible, go ahead, do it. That is called pilferting. Then go for pilferting on that basis and do whatever the content you want to exploit or modify or changes and whatever the things you want. Quite possible. And on that basis, that circumstances, I think systems got attacked by specific ports. Or in case if it is all blocked, the ports are quite secure. They'll not take incoming traffic. Only it is dedicated for outgoing traffic from firewall side or other things and all. So security compliances are there. But now a hacker is targeting to identify that I want to open a port because I want a backdoor. Then further, that is a model of penetration testing where what they do using social engineering or using some other tricks and techniques, they try to identify the less knowledgeable person. Okay, or non-technical person and trying to chase that person with social engineering and send some links, some URL links or some other links or any application. The moment they'll click to that link because of their likes or dislikes, if the person click to those links, immediately what happened, that machine get compromised, the back door opens on that machine, and in other way you are going to redirect and open certain ports from that machine. And as you get the open port for the backdoor purpose, now you connect with that open port and simply penetrate to that machine. Via that machine, then even you can infect to that network, servers, or any type of infrastructure. So that is one of the best way to get into that, and to create the exploits or hack any machine or any server, any website, or any particular application and so on. Understood? You got my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very nice.
So this is the procedure. This is the general, I would say, criminology, hackology. I would say it's a hackology, right?
One more, sir, a small extension in this.
Please.
So recently, Twitter account has been compromising Bill Gates, including our Prime Minister of India. So these account, they are using the high-end encryption, so salting techniques, message digest algorithms and all. But still, the server side is going to. It's not a client-side attack. The completely server side through tokenization techniques. They try bypassing the login credentials, and they try to sharing the some kind of recently the Twitter some tweets are happened. All the big shots. So these kind of tokenization regularly, I'm continuously listening about these tokenization bypassing techniques. Why these top organizations like Google, Facebook, or Twitter, these kind of top social media networks are going to compromising their server, the clients' logins credentials, not because of the social engineering. This is generally it will be happening continuously. I'm talking about the coding perspective. Why these tokenization related. By using tokenization, why they are able to bypassing such a strong infra?
Yes, only the part is, see, they are the most targeted websites, Twitter, web, and all that stuff. Somehow using their APIs. It is not only with the programming. There is a Twitter programming is also there separately. Facebook programming is there. You can act as a Facebook developer. You can act as a Twitter developer, Instagram developer. So there is a backdoor way, some APIs which has also been driven by these social media sites, okay, to connect with your APIs.
These all forensic tools are running these through APIs only mostly.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. So the certain APIs are there. Okay. Now it depends that how the tokenization get compromised. However, the tokenization generally not get compromised. But the another concern is, what about session hijacking in the tokenization? Like today, if we both are on the same network, can I hijack your passwords? So means the nutshell is like even session hijacking is one of the technique. Even other techniques where we can bypass the security, authentications. So authorization and authentication is another model where your tokenization also might be get compromised depending upon the services and all that stuff. Second, few of the user, I would say might be a paid user, or might be some special enforcement agencies users, okay, might be some extra privileges being driven to them for certain purpose. Again, that is under restriction. I'm not denying at all. However, if I start exploring some information which is in the public form or a private form, is it possible to identify the things and get some information out of it? It is a matter of assessment. Okay. And in case even, yes, you are right, like Twitter or even Google, a biggest flaws even started, G Plus was one of the biggest product of Google, and G Plus was 100% flop show. It's all wind up. Now that product is no more in industry, as it was a competitive product of Facebook and Twitter and all. And even earlier to that, there was a concept called ORCOD, if you remember. So ORCOD was
Yes.
one of the another model. And now, because worldwide researchers, I would say hackers, are behind Twitter, behind Facebook, Google, still they people are surviving, which is again a big deal, I would say. However, 100% no one is secure. In case for a dynamic purpose, for a specific time frame purpose, might be they also do a maintenance job, they also update their servers, they also give some privileges to their employees for certain tasks, might be their system get compromised. So it is not a magic for sure, right? It is not at all a magic, but yes, technically the things are possible. Only the way we have to identify the way how that incident occurred, how any payload triggered, and due to that they'll able to compromise the databases and the authentications of these accounts, where these are the very renowned accounts. Don't take means hardly matter whether it is your account, my account, or prime minister account, or any renowned personality account or celebrity account. Because it is celebrity account or any renowned name account, that comes to the media. And if your or mine account get hacked, never comes into the media. But I think these kind of exercises are going on a day-to-day
True,
basis.
true, sir. True,
Rediff,
true, true.
recently Rediff has already been compromised from the Rediff side. Nobody knows that. Do you know this? And I got almost more than I think almost 80 plus request 80 plus requests which I received, that every old, I'm saying old database user, means old Rediff users, right, where they are working even more than decade. Okay, all those users now they'll not be able to access their Rediff accounts. The reason is their account got compromised. Some Nigerian information plus 2, 3, 4 phone numbers. So they change their alternate email IDs and phone numbers, so that you'll not go to the forget password and all, and their account get compromised. And even those accounts were even their now digital identity for many of the organization and many of the individuals and so on. However, it has been compromised from the back end only, and people face lots of trouble and some inconvenience. Some case of impersonation, hacking has already been introduced and things done. So I'm not saying they are not secure. However, they have their own level of security, but due to any reason, due to any information from their internal employees, internal threads or external threads, they might get some information, or they might be a silent spectator, that they might deploy any payload which is a backdoor payload, and using a reverse TCP connection they try to identify from any of their employees machine to check what exactly is going on, and they might able to capture the packets or redirect the content or something like that, which is the matter of investigation. And till the time we'll not get the true facts, we cannot comment on that directly, but this is what expected, which was actually being done, especially on the highlighted accounts or famous portals. And frankly speaking, we all are already hacked. Only the trigger has not been shooted on us for our identity, because still they want to do a surveillance on us. Our each digital gadget has already been compromised, and anytime they might use or misuse as per their wish. Whenever they require, they utilize our hardwares for any particular task or any purpose according to their wish, right? And many incident came across as well. It's not new, but yes, that's what I said, because we are not celebrities, and our incident never been reported to any cyber crime registers or something like that. So because of that, it never highlighted. But however, we all are already get compromised, and our accounts, and we are on the danger layer. We are on the financial crisis very soon. The bank like Cosmos Bank Pune simply hacked, and the customer data, customers information, customers are logging and they are transferring their funds to any foreign accounts, and that was reported by RBI. So some fishy activities are going in your bank, and please cross check. and even the IT heads of that bank were unable to diagnose the problem at the first instance. And although they blocked the server for a couple of hours, they identified, they feel everything is fine, they again restarted the server, make it live, and again the same activity being started for another day, and they committed with the billion-dollar losses. So that's right, things are there. However, somewhere some internal employees are the major, I would say, threat for such infrastructures, and the privileges being granted to them. We all are humans, and I think one mistake being committed by a human would become opportunity for hackers to penetrate and do anything, whatever they want. Right? Is that clear?
Very true, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think quickly, let me see if I'll get some report being done or not. Okay, it's actually let me find the task if it's there. Otherwise, I think you'll now quite aware of what is vulnerability and what is asset management, and I think now you'll be more comfortable in these terms. And I think it will take time, because the tasks, the list of tasks are there, and it will take time to evaluate and identify the things. It is still 88%, but still it is running, right? So I think I exhaust already your timing, right? I already exhaust your time. I'm through with my session. I'll just conclude with the part like, please remember, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is one of the major goal for the security assessment. No doubt in it. However, it is not the initial stage. There are different initial stages are there, where we have to identify. And in case if you will identify the asset management properly, I would say most of the attacks would be easily able to identify, and immediately you can go and block unused applications or unused services or ports or services or third-party application which are actually existing in your operating system. Simply you go and block it. Find the list of processes which are running in the system. If it is unnecessary or not in use, immediately block it. I think that is also required for your performance and optimization of your infrastructure. Okay, as earlier we used to do that kind of thing in the terms of auditing. Now auditing has to be enhanced with the next stage, and they need to add a security as a major parameter. And then further, obviously the performance should not be get compromised, but another fear factor is cyber threats, cyber attacks, and even warfare. Okay, so if we'll take it to the country level, then it is a case of warfare. And again, the case of espionage or sabotage issues came across even in the cyber world. I think we need to start working practically, and we have to do lots of things hands-on, so that we'll able to understand. We'll need to understand very clearly from the management aspects, from the technical aspects, from the practical aspects, and from the reporting aspects, and then revamping back to the cycle and reassessment model or a maintenance model of your existing infrastructure. Last and finally, I have seen most of the IT guys who are working for infrastructure and all, they always pray like a god to their server, please is weekend mein tang mat karna. Let us enjoy our weekend, and please don't call us, because otherwise you're going to scrutinize our happiness in case if it is any kind of trouble is there. Otherwise, IT guys are very cool and very calm, sitting on a back end, enjoying ACs and all. That is what the prediction for others, for non-technical people, but actually it is not. We are sitting on a very critical stage. We are on a very high risk level. Even as per the law, we have to maintain the security concerns, compliances, log registers, and the information of the accessibility of our digital devices and gadgets and users for a specific period. Because in case if any incident raised in your organization, then actually it really scrutinizes not only your happiness, your time, your frame, but might be you have some obligation and become an accused for any legal concern also. So never get into that mess. Please be aware of it. Make your own checklist. I would say that is the best practices for security and vulnerability test. Make your own checklists, whatever is required, and follow that checklist in your infrastructure assessment and your penetration modeling and so on. For penetration modeling, people used to go for Metasploit or MSF Venome. They make their own payloads, or by using C, C++, Malwarm. There are many good toolkits or frameworks are available even for penetration testing or for vulnerability assessment, but hardly matters. That is just one of the product or a tool. I think we should not restrict to the tool. We should restrict what exactly is required, what to do, what not to do, and according to the compliance and legal issues, are we capable to access that particular part or not, with the due diligence, with level of security. And in case if any incident occurred, then again you should have another policy, another checklist for your disaster recovery, for your reporting, for your incident handling. I think that is the basic job of the any IT head or any CTO or any professor from IT or from computer science or background or somewhere, so that you'll be more best paymasters and able to handle the situation or the incident which comes across due to vulnerabilities or any certain new attacks as well. So on this ground, thank you so much. Thanks to be a patient listener. I try to make it more interactive session with more practical part. However, I have theory and all that PPT, but I think not to get into that mess more. I'll share the PPT. I think few of them you are asking for. For sure, I'll do that. But I think these practicals are more important for you to understand how to do and how to work on these grounds. Thank you so much. Thanks to be a patient listener, and hope you enjoyed the session. In case if you have any doubt or any further queries, I would love to answer your queries. I'll share my contact details. You can contact me. I'll share my number. This is my WhatsApp and regular number, and I'll share my email ID also. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Jai Hind. Over to you, to ma'am and to other volunteers, Karan sir, in case if he's there, or all the management people who are taking care for such such a event. Thank you so much for giving me a opportunity. It's a pleasure to part of such a wonderful audience. Really interactive. I really enjoyed to deliver the session. I don't know whether you enjoyed or not, but really I enjoyed a lot to interact with you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. Over to you.
We also enjoyed, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Very, very, very nice session, sir. Very informative session. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving such an awesome presentation on vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. We are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your thoughts and experiences with our participants. Thanks again for your contribution. Now, I'll call to Karan sir to give vote of thanks to Anup sir.
Hello.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yes, please. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm audible?
Please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you very much, sir. I think participant got benefited from your energetic, very enthusiasm lecture or session, and you have covered a lot of things which is very, very necessary for these participants as well as all of us. So they will broadcast your information to their student also. So I hope they will got benefited and enjoy this session. In future also, we will take your service and hope you will come in future also.
Certainly, sir. Thank you.
Very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Thanks for your giving me the opportunity to interact a wonderful audience. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We'll certainly be in touch for further endeavors and all. Great, sir. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So kindly share us the PPT because there is a one exam also on 26. So we will broadcast that PPT to all participants.
Sure, sir. I do. I'll share it on email on your mail ID.
Yes.
From where you send me the details, I'll share it on that.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Karan sir, hello.
Yes.
Sir, let me take a snap. Let all the participants to on their videos.
It is request to all participants. They open their video. So we will take one snapshot and we will mark your present from that. So it will be better you just rename your name or device name as a participant ID. So सर आप भी 1 मिनट के लिए रहिए तो आपका भी काम हो जाएगा तो अच्छा लगेगा हमें
सर
इधर है कोई सौरभ गुप्ता प्रसाद जी
यस सर
आपका चेहरा नहीं आ रहा कुछ लाइट वाइट
सर लाइट ऑन कर रहा हूं मैं अभी वैसे ही लाइट ऑफ थी
हमें ब्लैक सा दिख रहा है
हाँ जी हाँ जी
प्रसाद जी है यहाँ पर
और बड़ी जला दो यार
सैयद निजामुद्दीन
यस सर
वैशाली योगेश कोंडा राकेश कुमार आफीफा आप लोग सभी ऑन कर दीजिए जरा 1 मिनट लगेगा सभी ऑन कर लीजिए उसके बाद सभी चाय पिएंगे अपने अपने घर पे पिएंगे 1 मिनट ऑन
This is e-chai concept, sir. Very it's a e-chai concept. Very good concept.
अभी सभी को तैयार रखनी थी चाय और लेके बैठते भी एक फोटो
बिल्कुल सर सबको दिखाना चाहिए कंपलसरी अपना कप दिखाओ चाहे खाली हो अंदर but they have to carry a cup and we'll have a proper high tea concept high tea concept
अगली बार हम ऐसे ही करेंगे भूलेंगे अगली बार लेके आएंगे सभी
राइट सर
एक तो मैंने ले लिया है पीपी दूसरा पेज का ले लेता हूँ मैं ओनली 1 मिनट अभी भी कुछ कैमरे ऑन नहीं हुए फर्स्ट पेज पे निजामुद्दीन एंड बसंत
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Done.
लास्ट का पेज रह गया लास्ट का पेज
सर मैंने सब लिया सर मैंने
तो ऑल पार्टिसिपेंट थैंक यू वेरी मच tomorrow we will take another snap and we will take a very little bit introduction to each other. Okay, so tomorrow we will take first and participant introduction. They will and next day 10. Okay. So we will cover all participant in coming 5 days. Okay, so 10, 20 we will introduce to each other. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So if you have any query or any thing in your mind, you may ask. You can interact to our team or me anytime. Okay. So for today, thank you very much. Now we can end this session. Anup sir.
Sir.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So we will hope your session. It is very interactive.
Thank you so much.
Information is there. I think it is very necessary for each and everyone.
Sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.